keep them handy. Om Agyantimirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupakadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutaha Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatamitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostate Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhano Shute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Panchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktavrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ramo Rama Ramo Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. Very, very happy to be amidst all of you all once again. Wishing all of you a very happy Gita Jayanti. Today is the day on which Bhagavad Gita was spoken by Lord Krishna to Arjun. We did not plan this. Somehow it just happened that our Gita class is coinciding with Gita Jayanti day. So it's just so amazing that this is actually an indicator of Krishna's blessings on all of you all, and the reciprocation, at all the sincerity that you all have been showing over the last few months to hear and understand the Gita, that you are actually getting to hear the Gita on the day in which Gita was spoken. So today we're going to be continuing from the first chapter of the Gita, and we'll be discussing a very, very important subject, and this is going to be on the weight of intentions. So if you remember, we were discussing the first section of the first chapter, and if you remember, we had mentioned that the first 13 verses of the first chapter talks about the duplicity of Dhritarashtra and the diplomacy of Duryodhana, and we're still on the first verse of the first chapter. We have been doing the first verse over the last 2 or 3 weeks now, and we have over the last 2-3 weeks we have just gone over the first sentence literally of the first verse. So today we're going to go over the complete verse, the first verse, and understand the question of Dhritarashtra. So the verse, we'll just quickly recite it together. Dhritarashtra uvacha Dharmakshetre Kurukshetre Samaveta Yutsavaha Mamaka Pandavaschaiva Kim Akurvata Sanjaya. So Dhritarashtra is asking Sanjay a question. He's saying, Dharmakshetre Kurukshetre Samaveta Yutsavaha. He's saying, in Dharmakshetra Kurukshetra, we understood in great detail what this Dharmakshetra Kurukshetra means and why Dhritarashtra is calling it Dharmakshetra Kurukshetra. His question is, Samaveta Yuyutsavaha, with the desire to fight, the two armies have come in front of each other. Whose armies? Using the word Mamaka and Pandavaschaiva. Mamaka means my sons, and Pandavaschaiva means sons of Pandu. Kim Akurvata Sanjaya. What did they do after coming together? So apparently this question of Dhritarashtra seems to be a very stupid and a very strange question. But this question actually reveals a lot about his intentions. The most important part which actually brings out his intention very clearly is Mamaka Pandavaschaiva. You know what is the greatest cause of fight in this world? Differences in this world? calamities in this world and all kinds of problems in this world is this statement of Dhritarashtra, Mamaka Pandavaschaiva. The moment you start saying mine and yours, that's where all the problems begin. That's where all the issues begin. The moment human beings start differentiating, creating divisions based on mine and yours, they really create, they set the foundation of all kinds of complications. The word mamaka indicates the mentality of you and mine. You know, this whole mindset of mine has caused more problem than any other mindset in this world. My religion, my country, my family, my society, my caste, my creed. So it's all about my. And you keep doing my all the time, That's actually a very low mindset. It's a very low level of thinking. Accommodation indicates broadness in thinking. But the moment you start differentiating based on mind and not mind, you're actually limiting your thinking and you're limiting the way in which you look at people. So this whole world is suffering simply because of human beings like Dhritarashtra who have very clearly differentiating mind and not mind. If you think about it a little more broadly, who are the Pandavas? Pandavas are his nephews. They are his own people. They are his own children, literally. Their father is dead. Logically, he is supposed to be their caretaker. He's supposed to be taking care of them. 5 young boys, basically. So now, because he is not able to look at them as his, and because he's saying Pandavas Chaiva, they belong to Pandu, which means they don't belong to me. And that is the cause of the biggest problem in Kurukshetra. So technically, the Kauravas, the 100 Kauravas have created issues. But actually, the issues were created by Dhritarashtra's mindset of Mamaka and Pandavas Chaiva. If Dhritarashtra didn't think like this, his sons wouldn't think like this. So this Mamaka and Pandavas Chaiva is the biggest problem in the whole battle of Kurukshetra. It just led to the battle of Kurukshetra. If you look at all the fights in this world today, whether you look at divorce cases, whether you look at property fights, whether you look at disputes in businesses, whether you look at national level disputes, it's all about Mamaka Pandavas Chaiva. It all boils down to that. The moment there is acceptance, the moment there is broad-mindedness, the moment there is udartha, a much bigger way of looking at accepting everyone as mine, everyone as ours, and not looking at somebody as not mine, that causes more pain than anything else in this world. So apparently, Dhritarashtra seems to be a very innocent guy who is simply not having, any problems in the world, silently sitting in some corner, blind, very helpless. Seems to be like that. But behind that, helpless demeanor is a very sinister mindset, which is based on Mamaka Pandavas Chaiva. A lot of times we take people on face value. We take people, we judge or understand people based on how they look, how they behave, all that. But seldom do we understand what their intentions are. Apparently, an innocent-looking question may not actually be so innocent. So Dhritarashtra, such an innocent-looking question. Arey, what did my sons and the sons of Pandu do after coming together? They assembled together in a battlefield of Kurukshetra. Very innocent-looking question. Behind that innocent-looking question is a very sinister thought process. It's very sinister intentions. And those intentions are very obvious because of Dhritarashtra's way of thinking. Dhritarashtra, when he's asking this question, Mamaka Pandavas Chaiva, he has a lot of worries in his mind. He has a lot of thought processes in his mind which is going on, and he's remembering many incidences of the past, because of which he is worried, and because of which he's asking this question: what are they doing? Why? So some of the worries of Dhritarashtra are related to philosophy, and some of the worries of Dhritarashtra are related to practical experiences of the past. Arjun is considered to be expert in making alliances. Arjun has met Lord Shiva, made alliances with Lord Shiva, got the blessings of Lord Shiva, and obtained the Pashupatastra, some of the most powerful missiles from Lord Shiva. Met Lord Indra and obtained missiles from Indra, and so many other gods Arjuna has met. Dhritarashtra is worried. He's asking, Mamaka Pandavasyaiva is worried because he understands that anybody who is on the side of Krishna is supported by all the devatas. All the gods in this world support the person who is standing on the side of Dharma. And because Arjuna is standing on the side of Dharma, the Pandavas are standing on the side of Dharma, Dhritarashtra knows very, very well that all the devatas support the person who is standing on the side of Dharma. Dhritarashtra also knows that Duryodhan himself has been defeated in the past. Dhritarashtra, if you remember, we had this one discussion about Duryodhan being tied up by the Gandharvas during a fight in the forest. The Gandharvas very badly tied him up, and Arjuna had to come to rescue Duryodhan. Why is Dhritarashtra remembering this incident specifically here? Because of all the many incidences in the past, this incident very clearly proves that Duryodhan is inferior to Arjuna and Bhima in his abilities. And not only his abilities to deal with people also. Not only his skills, but also his communication. Very weak communications. And therefore, he always falls in trouble. If you notice these incidences that Dhritarashtra is remembering, apparently he remembers all those incidences in which Duryodhan lost, in which his sons lost. Why does Dhritarashtra remember all those incidences in which his sons lost? There is a reason. Human beings are very selective in what they remember. We all write some scripts in our mind. So somebody may have done something wrong, but we write a script in our mind according to what we want to remember. Like, for example, on your desktop, on your laptop or on your desktop, there are many icons, right? There is a Word icon. There is a Internet Explorer icon. There is a Zoom icon. All these icons are there. And what is an icon? Icon only is a reference point, right? The moment you see that icon, you click on that icon, it opens a whole file. It opens a whole software. The icon is not the software. But if you just tell you don't even have to open you just tell the name of the icon, or you just look at the icon, immediately in our mind, the whole software opens up, isn't it? So similarly, human beings make one icon, one incident of their life as an icon, and that is the reference point to the relationship they have. Suppose you have a relationship with somebody for 30 years, okay? And for 30 years, you have a very nice, cordial relationship. And the last time you met that person, you have a very bad fight with that person. Very, very ugly fight. In your mind, the 30 years of the relationship gets deleted, and the last fight is stored in your mind as an icon. So the moment you remember that person, whatever that person's name is, that icon comes up, which is like a very dangerous and a very frustrating type of icon, basically. So the moment you remember that person, you remember that icon, that last incident which you have had with that person. The 30 years, all the nice things you forget conveniently, you forget immediately. And therefore, most people act like Dhritarashtra. Like once Rajiv Gandhi was asked a question. He was asked, who will win the elections? He said Congress, because the opposition has committed the last mistake. Very interesting answer he gave. He said the opposition committed the last mistake. So an entire country decides who will come into power, not based on what was done in the last 5 years, but based on who committed the last mistake. Just before elections, whoever commits the last mistake, that person loses. As simple as that. That is the level of human memory. That is the level at which human memory is, unfortunately. Every negative icon you carry hurts your relationship. You're not peaceful. That the negative, because that negative icon becomes a source of disturbance for you. So Dhritarashtra, when he's saying Pandavas Chaiva, Mamaka Pandavas Chaiva, this is what he's remembering. He's remembering all those incidences where the Pandavas have exhibited unity and the Kauravas have exhibited stupidness. So this is what is in Dhritarashtra's mind at this point in time. Dhritarashtra is remembering the incidences where the Pandavas were in utter situation of loss, but in that loss they made gains. Arjun was all the Pandavas were in Virat kingdom, hidden as different people. Yudhishthir Maharaj became Kanka, the minister of the king of Virat. Bhima became Vallabha, he became the cook. Arjun became Brihanalla. Sahadev became Tantripal. Nakul became Granthika, taking care of the horses. Draupadi became Malini. She was a maid servant of the queen. So they were all hiding. And at that point, the Kauravas attacked the Pandavas, and Arjun single-handedly defeated all the Kauravas. Every single Kaurava he defeated single-handedly. Dhritarashtra is remembering that incident. How one Arjun defeated all the Kauravas single-handedly. That means how powerful he must be. So his question is, Kim Akuru to Sanjaya? What did my sons and the sons of Pandu do? Because he's worried that if one Arjun can defeat all the Kauravas, here is an entire army standing along with Arjun. What will happen? What is going to happen to my sons? It doesn't matter what you have, but what really matters is what you do with what you have. A lot of people make a lack list in their life. Dhritarashtra had a lot, but his entire focus is on what I don't have, what is missing from my life. I can make a lack list from my life. Lack list means what I lack in life, the whole list of what I lack. Even if I make an entire lack list, it's not going to take me anywhere. Some of the people who have achieved the greatest in life are not those people who have made a lack list, but they are the ones who are focused on what they have, and they did a lot with what they have. People like Dhritarashtra are experts in making lack lists, and therefore here is Dhritarashtra's memory giving him a whole list of information, whole list of things that are actually detrimental to his thinking process. What is a curse and what is a blessing is all depending on how you know how to use it. Apparently, the Pandavas were in a very cursed situation of life. Everything went wrong in their life. But people like Lord Shiva, they know how to convert a curse into a blessing. Lord Shiva drank the halahal poison and made it into an ornament around his neck. He came to be known as Neelakanta just by wearing that, consuming the poison which would have killed others. And on the other hand, Rahu, if you look at the Samudra Manthan story, after the nectar came out, Mohini Murti was distributing the nectar to the gods and not to the demons. One fellow named Rahu, he went and sat between Surya and Chandra, thinking that I will drink the nectar, and he hid himself as a devata. And as soon as Mohini Murti poured nectar into his hand and he drank it, immediately Surya and Chandra said, this is not a devata. And Mohini Murti cut off his head. Imagine, he drank nectar and lost his life. On the other hand, Lord Shiva drank poison and he became glorified. So what is a curse and what is a blessing? It doesn't depend on the curse and the blessing, but it depends on the person who is handling it. There are some people who have the ability to convert a curse into a blessing. And there are some people, even after having lots, they will still find a lack list in their life. Here, Dhritarashtra is saying, Mamaka Pandavas Chaiva, because he knows that Mamaka, my sons, are experts in lack lists, what they don't have. But the Pandavas are experts in using what they have. Even if it is a curse, they know how to use it and make some advantage of it. Dhritarashtra understands that there are many great souls who have been in the situation of the Pandavas and helped the Pandavas, to the best of their abilities. He knows how great souls are. Parashuram, who is one of the gurus of many of these people, Karna's guru, he is a guru of Dronacharya. Sorry, he is the guru of Bhishma. He is a guru of so many of these great personalities. But Parashuram himself exhibited some amazing qualities. He did a lot in his anger. He was very angry that one of the Kshatriyas had killed his father, Jamadagni. And in that anger spree, Parashuram went about killing all the Kshatriyas. But at a certain point, Parashuram began to repent for his mistakes of killing thousands of Kshatriyas. And Dhritarashtra knows that great souls, they may commit mistakes. But at some point during their journey of life, they begin to repent for those mistakes. See, making a mistake is human. Every human being makes mistakes. But the difference between a sinful person and a weak person and a human being, the difference is very simple. When a sinful person does sin, he doesn't repent after committing sin. But when a weak person commits a mistake, after committing the mistake, he immediately repents. That's one of the biggest differentiation between weak people and bad people. When bad people do mistakes, they don't repent at the end of the mistake. They're cool. They're pretty cool about their mistakes. But when good people make mistakes, immediately they repent. So Dhritarashtra wants to know from Sanjay, Pandavas are good people. Are they repenting for anything that they're doing? Are they repenting for their mistakes? And the greater worry that Dhritarashtra has is that these guys are in Dharmakshetra, Kurukshetra, right? So he is thinking, is the holy place affecting my sons and have my sons become repentant? So he is very worried about the influence of the holy place on the mind of his sons. And therefore, Dhritarashtra is in a big fix. He's thinking a lot because he is understanding that there is a lot that is not in his hand. There's a difference between a palace and a battlefield. Dhritarashtra is sitting in a palace. What is a palace? Palace is a place which is in your control, right? If you're sitting at home, everything is in your control. AC is in your control, TV remote is in your control, the lights are in your control, the fans are in your control, the window shades are in your control, the door is in your control, everything is in your control when you're sitting at home. But the moment you step outside, there is a lot that is not in your control. Which auto rickshaw guy turns, does a zigzag turn and comes and bangs you, not in your hand. Which these bus fellows who drive so fast, I mean, they seem to be driving in a SL world or something like that. It's zoom, zoom, zoom. You have no control over so many things. The moment you step out of your house, isn't it? The moment you step out of your house, you don't have control over so many things. Dhritarashtra is sitting in his palace and he is worried about what is happening on the battlefield. Why is he worried about the battlefield? The reason is because Dhritarashtra is in a place of control. But he understands that his sons are in a place where there is no control. And therefore, he wants to know what is happening there in a place where there is no control, in a place where the environment is hostile, where the environment is not favorable. And more than anything else, there are forces that are beyond anyone's powers. The holy place is powerful, and not just the holy place. The presence of Krishna on the side of the Pandavas is the greatest worry for Dhritarashtra. What does it take to become excellent in what you have or what you're going to achieve? What does it take for you to achieve excellence? What does it take for you to become highly successful in life? There are only two options. Either ignore the small things to achieve higher goals, or subordinate the bigger goals to smaller things. To be somebody in life, okay, let me repeat that sentence again. Okay. Either ignore the small things in life to achieve the bigger goals, or subordinate the bigger goals to satisfy small things in life. To be somebody in life, you have to subordinate your likes and dislikes. Ignore the small things and keep focusing on the larger goals of life. Today, we are all enjoying the freedom, independence of India, simply because there are so many people in the past who have subordinated their likes and dislikes only for one purpose: to drive the British out of the country. So now, if I need everything from life, I need to first give everything I have got to life. If a student wants to excel, then at least for those few years the student is studying, has to subordinate all likes and dislikes for a higher goal. Yes, Spider-Man movies will come in between, Avenger movies will come in between, all kinds of distractions will come in between. But somehow or the other, you have to push all that aside. You have to subordinate all your likes and dislikes and focus on the higher goal. And that is when you can achieve something in life. So if I have to reach where I have never reached, then I will have to take a path that I have never taken. If I have to achieve what I have never achieved before, I'll have to do things that I've never done before. And if I have to accomplish things that no one has ever accomplished before, then I will have to do those things that no one has ever done before. This simply explains why it is crowded at the bottom of the pyramid. Why only a few chosen ones who have risen above the likes and dislikes, they are the ones who are focused completely on the purpose of life. For most people in life, they won't be path breakers. Why? Because most people in life will not be able to subordinate the likes and dislikes for the purpose of life, for the goal of their life. Most people will be subordinated by the likes and dislikes. So here, Dhritarashtra is saying Mamaka Pandavas Chaiva, because there's a very distinct difference between his sons and the sons of Pandu. Because the sons of Pandu, they have been constantly subordinating the likes and dislikes for a higher goal in life. And his sons, they have been subordinating the higher goals of life for supporting the likes and dislikes. As simple as that. And therefore, the presence of Krishna is one of the biggest factors, because the Pandavas have got the strength to say no, because they have had support of great people like Krishna in their lives, the support of great people like Dhaumya in their lives, the support of great people, great teachers whom they have respected. And that, the support of such people helps you subordinate your lower interests for the sake of your higher interests. Let me explain to you something very interesting. Victory is not an achievement. Victory is not an achievement. If you live by what is right, that itself is victory. Many people win a battle and lose the war because they don't focus on higher things in life. Most people, they hesitate a lot to spend on books, but they will spend unlimited amount of money on food, on movies, unlimited amount of money on things that will not help them grow, internally. First of all, money has no memory. Experiences have memory. Money is, just very superficial and external. Experiences are eternal. Money is short-lived, but experiences are eternal. Secondly, there are no price tags to matters of the heart. For matters of the heart, there is no price tag, isn't it? Thirdly, a single impact on the thought process of an individual can change your life forever. One single statement, one single thought can impact and change your life forever. And fourthly, in experiencing a book, we are actually experiencing the thoughts of the great souls behind the book. And most importantly, we should allow books to serve our transformation and not simply provide information. It doesn't matter how many times you have gone through the Bhagavad Gita. But what is more important is that does the Gita go through you at least once? So why is Dhritarashtra worried? Because he understands Krishna is standing there. Krishna is Bhagavad Gita. He is the wisdom that he is speaking. So imagine what ability he has to rise your thoughts, what ability he has to rise your level of thinking. Dhritarashtra is worried about that. So therefore, if we really want to grow in our own lives, we have to really do exactly what the Pandavas did. Choose Krishna. And when we choose Krishna, we're actually choosing Krishna's wisdom. And when we choose Krishna, of course, the Pandavas had the luxury of actually having physically the presence of Krishna in their lives. But do we have that luxury? Yes, very much. Krishna is present in his book, in his words. When we choose Krishna, when we choose the Bhagavad Gita, we're actually choosing the presence of Krishna in our lives and allowing him the chance to transform our life, just like he transformed the lives of the Pandavas through his thought process. The presence of the Lord in our lives ensures victory. And how do we ensure the presence of Lord in our lives? We ensure the presence of Lord in our life in many ways, including chanting his holy names. And more importantly, by allowing the wisdom of the Gita, which is words coming up from his mouth, to actually transform our hearts. So please do not come to Gita classes for nice information. Come here looking for transformation. Come here looking for something that can actually help you transform the quality of your thinking, transform the quality of your lifestyle, transform the quality of your priorities, help you subordinate your likes and dislikes to a higher goal in life. You know what is the most difficult thing for a human being to do? This subordination of likes and dislikes is the most difficult thing for a human being to do. And that's what spiritual life is all about. It gives you a higher purpose and it helps you subordinate your likes and dislikes to that higher purpose. Interestingly, this whole discussion, Sanjaya is involved. And it's amazing that Dhritarashtra and Sanjay both are sitting in the same hall, right? They're sitting in the same room, in the same palace. But why is Dhritarashtra asking Sanjay these questions? Because Sanjay has something that he doesn't have. What does he have that he doesn't have? Sanjay has vision. This is the first Doordarshan, technically, This is the first Doordarshan. He is sitting in his house and something that is happening very far away in a battlefield, Sanjay is able to see. And interestingly, Dhritarashtra is not able to see. Sanjay is not just able to see, he's able to hear also. He's able to see, he's able to hear, he's able to experience. This is powerful. How did Sanjay get that power that Dhritarashtra didn't get? And the most amazing thing is, this power to Sanjay was given by Vyasdev, Veda Vyas. He gave this power, this of vision and absorption to Sanjay. I know what the most amazing thing is. Dhritarashtra is Ved Vyasa's son. Dhritarashtra is the son of Vyasdev. The son of Vyasdev doesn't have vision to see and hear. But the disciple of Vyasa, Sanjay, has the ability to see and hear. Which means it's not about blood relationships. Spiritual relationships are more powerful than blood relationships. Technically, Dhritarashtra has more rights than Sanjay over his father's powers and his abilities. But that's not how spiritual life works. Here, Duryodhan, the son of Dhritarashtra, is getting everything from his father. But the father is not getting everything from his father. Why? Because there's a difference between the relationships. Duryodhan and Dhritarashtra's relationship is material, father-son relationship. But the Dhritarashtra-Vyas relationship is not a material relationship, it's a spiritual relationship. Vyasdev does not give his son what he doesn't deserve. But he gives his disciple what he deserves. Sanjay was a disciple. So Dhritarashtra was a son of Vyasa. The son was born blind, and the disciple had the vision to see the future. We have to learn to become like Sanjay and not like Dhritarashtra, misusing power. This is one of the most powerful things the Bhagavad Gita is teaching us. Value the blessing of a guru. Do not look for just blood relationships. Look for powerful, transformational, heart-connected relationships. And spiritual relationships are much, much more powerful in any way than just blood relationships. Here is a glaring example from the Gita. That's why Dhritarashtra has to take shelter of Sanjay, asking Sanjay, tell me what happened there. And then Sanjay starts speaking. This is the second verse of the Gita. Sanjay Vacha Drishtva tu Pandavanekam Yudam Duryodhanastada Acharyam Upasangamya Raja Vachanam Apravit. So Sanjay, he is starting to tell what happened. Drishtva tu Pandavanekam Yudam Duryodhanastada. He's saying, seeing the Pandava army, Vyudam Duryodhanastada. Duryodhan ran to Acharya. Who? Dronacharya. Acharya Upasangamya Raja Vachanam Abravit, and began to speak. So this is roughly the division of Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita is made up of 700 verses in total. And this is how it's divided. Dhritarashtra speaks only one verse. That's all. The whole Bhagavad Gita is like an answer to his one question, basically. So Dhritarashtra only speaks one verse. Sanjay in the whole Gita speaks about 41 verses. Arjun speaks 84 verses. These are mostly in the form of questions. And of course, most of Arjun's speaking happens in the first chapter itself. Almost close to about 25-30 verses. Arjun only speaks in the first chapter. And Krishna speaks 574 verses. So this is technically the composition of the entire Gita. So Sanjay is going to start answering the duplicitous Dhritarashtra. Dhritarashtra represents, so this question of Dhritarashtra is a question of his intentions. This question of Dhritarashtra is actually a very loaded question because it teaches us a very valuable lesson in life. It teaches us the lesson of authenticity. It teaches us the lesson of how heavy your intentions weigh on your words. I want to tell you a statement now. And this statement is a very loaded statement. Please pay attention. The lies most devastating to our self-esteem or not so much the lies we tell, as much as the lies we live. I'm going to repeat this statement, okay? The lies, L-I-E-S, lies, most devastating to our self-esteem are not the lies we tell, but the lies that we live. Many times, our life itself is a lie. What do you mean by life is a lie? It simply means we are telling something else, but we actually mean something else. We are showing the world we are something else, but we are actually something else. We all want to look good in front of the world. We all want to, be appreciated by people. We all want to be glorified by people. We all want to look like saints. But actually, deep within us is not a saint, is a swindler. Is someone who is royally cheating. And you know what the worst thing is? We tell many lies to the world. That's actually the easy part. The worst part is that we tell many lies to ourselves. So our life itself is a lie many times. So when we live a lie, we misrepresent the reality of our experience or the truth of our being to the world. Saint Francis of Assisi, he would say something very interesting to his preachers. He would tell them, when you go out to preach, preach all day, and if needed, speak. Very interesting. He would say, preach all day, and if needed, speak. How do you preach without speaking? Your actions speak louder than your words. A lot of times, when we are trying to show the world we are something, but we're actually something else. So here, Dhritarashtra is apparently asking a very innocent question. But within that innocent question is a very sinister motive hidden. Until and unless we are very clear what our motive is, our behaviors are only going to hide that motive for a short duration of time. Very soon, our motive will be clear to the world. Very soon, everyone will understand what our real intentions are. You can't fake intentions. You can't fake genuinity. Genuinity cannot be a tactic or a trick or a strategy. A lot of people in relationships and a lot of people in many aspects of life, they try to act genuine. Bringing flowers daily, smiling, talking very nicely. Externally, we behave very, very nicely, very sophisticated. But that's the sophistication that is needed is not on the external level. We need to have sophistication in our thought process. We need to have sophistication in our belief systems. We need to have sophistication in the way we actually behave internally. And that sophistication was what was missing in Dhritarashtra. Externally, very sophisticated guy, but internally a mess. Isn't this how our life is to a great extent? Isn't this exactly how we are to a great extent? To all our friends, we show that we really care. But the day our friends need us, we are missing. We seem to be very busy. Externally, we show the world that we are very, very gentle. The day somebody stamps on your feet, that is the day people really know who you are. I remember once I was traveling in a local train, and I was wearing a kadao. I don't know if you all know what's a kadao. Kadao is a wooden slipper. It's a wooden footwear. So I was, wooden is like pretty heavy sometimes. So I got into a train, and it was like a AC compartment, and I got into the train. And when I walked by mistake, I mean, I honestly didn't do it purposely. By mistake, the edge of my karao, somehow it stamped somebody. And this guy was like very sophisticated, nice suit boot and very modern looking, ultra highly educated guy. And somehow I stamped on his feet. Oh my God, what a transformation it was. In that few seconds, I saw a totally different person. Just a few seconds. I mean, yes, it was painful. It was my mistake. I agree to that. But the kind of bad words that he gave that day, it's amazing how someone with such education and such sophistication on an external level can completely flip into a different person just by that one little provocation. Isn't that how all of us are? Someone has to just focus in the wrong place. We all have a hot button that we're hiding from the world. And the moment somebody presses that hot button, we are someone else only. We are not the same sophisticated people that we seem to be. Our intentions, our genuinity comes out like glaringly. It glaringly comes out. So it's very easy to be good and to be looking good when things on an external level are good. But the moment things go wrong on an external level, that is when who you really are comes out. Authenticity is about working on ourselves at such a level that no matter what the provocation is, no matter what that external stimuli is, no matter what that situation is on an external level, we won't budge. And that's what makes people authentic. Dhritarashtra asked a very simple question, but in that simple question comes out his very vicious intentions. And therefore, we might think that I'm just speaking nice, simple things. But please remember, even in your nice, simple things, your intentions become very obvious to a lot of people, especially to those people who have the wisdom to see through, who have the wisdom to understand through your intentions. When Abraham Lincoln became the president of the United States, he was taking his vow. He was taking his presidential oath. While he was taking his presidential oath, suddenly in the middle of the presidential oath, during that ceremony, one man stood up from the audience. And this man made a statement which was very insulting. Publicly, in front of everybody. He's telling the president, he said, your father used to stitch shoes for my father. Like this, he said, publicly. Abraham Lincoln, he looked at him. I mean, usually this is a very insulting statement, right? When you bring up, something like that. Abraham Lincoln looked at this man and he said, yes, my father stitched shoes for your father. In fact, he stitched shoes for many people. And my father is very good at it. And no one ever complained about the quality of shoes my father stitched. And he said, if you have a problem with your shoes, get it to me, I'll mend it for you. After that, this man, he just couldn't say anything. He kept quiet and he sat down quietly. All of us, we have certain choices that make us what we are. Between the stimulus and the response is that little choice. I was once traveling on the Ganga River. I don't know whether I told you all this story. I was once traveling on the Ganga River on a small boat. And we were about, 3-4 people in that boat. And when we were right in the middle of the river, we noticed that from the bottom of the boat, the boat was filling up with water. We told the boatman, yes, the water is coming inside the boat. The boatman came and peeped in, saw the water was really coming in. He asked us, do you know to swim? And we looked at each other and none of us knew to swim, This guy gave us a bucket. He said, if you want to live, throw this water from inside outside. Imagine, we spend the whole remaining part of the journey throwing water from inside out because we were like really scared. That day I had a very important realization in my life. I realized that all the troubles in this world is like that water. Lot of troubles are there in this world, right? There's a lot of trouble all of us are facing and we will face. There's a lot of trouble all around us. The boat is like our mind. It's like the human mind. As long as the human mind does not have any single hole in it, no matter how much water is there outside, it will not enter into the boat. So no matter how much trouble is there around you, you will not get affected by it. But the moment there is one small hole in the boat of your mind, that's all. All the trouble outside comes inside. And you're dead. You're finished. That's all the whole story is about. The gap between stimulus and response is your choice. And that is the only thing we really have in our hands. And what we choose actually determines a lot about our intentions. It determines a lot about who we are as a human being. Therefore, like Dhritarashtra, all of us will have choices. And when we have those choices, what do we choose? Do we choose a life of comfort? Or do we choose a life of substance? Do we choose a life of lies? Or do we choose a life of authenticity? Do we choose to side Mamaka and not face the Pandavas Chaiva, So a lot of us, we are lost in this battle only because we are supporting our likes and dislikes. And we are not interested in the higher goals. We are not interested in the higher purpose of life. When you subordinate your likes and dislikes for the purpose of your life, you will be able to emerge authentic. But when you subordinate your purpose of life for the likes and dislikes, then you will actually be highly inauthentic. And like Dhritarashtra, you will speak nicely, but within that nice speaking, your intentions will be very obvious to the world. Hare Krishna. I'll stop here. The next time we are going to go one step further, understanding what will happen after Dhritarashtra. So Dhritarashtra is showing his intentions, and that intention is actually going to reflect on the mindset of his son, Duryodhana. Wrong intention leads to a fearful mindset. So the next session, we're going to be talking about how to deal with fear, how fear comes into our life, how to deal with the fear, and how to overcome fears in our life, whatever fear it may be. So the next whole session is going to be, we're going to be talking about fear only. And we're going to be talking about the whole process of dealing with fear and overcoming it, and how fear develops in our mind in the first place. So we'll stop here. Before we get into a discussion, just a few quick announcements.